The Field of 68 Media Network presents Red is the New Orange, a Syracuse basketball podcast.
Vince intercepts a pass, breakaway for the freshman guard, he flies and slams! Aerial assault from Judah Mintz.
Looking to go back door to Bell, they get it to a near corner three, knocks it down! Chris Bell, the sharpshooter.
Bringing you everything you need to know out of the 315.
Up top, Williams surges ahead, up with the right hand and in. A pretty up and under move from Benny Williams to beat his man.
Over to Taylor, he skips into the lane, puts up a floater, it drops in.
Let's get it started with your host, Ian Unsworth and Johnny Gadamowitz.
Well, this was a tough one. No other way to put it. It's Red is the New Orange. Johnny and Ian with you here, recapping Syracuse and Maryland. A game where, let's be honest, Ian, Syracuse had to compete for viewership. Not only was there college football playoff games going on, it was an absolutely loaded college basketball Saturday. All our good pals at the Field of 68 can get you caught up on everything you need to know there. Syracuse and Maryland was maybe one of those games that you wake up Saturday morning, little sneaky, under the radar. Hey, this could be a real good game. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. The Orange get walloped inside the Barclays Center, wrap up their Brooklyn record this year at 0-3 with a 27-point loss, 87-60. And Ian, will hop right in. I don't think it is overselling it to say that this is Syracuse's worst loss of the season.
No, absolutely not. Happy holidays, folks. Syracuse a bit slow off the eggnog to get things going because 6 turnovers and 4 missed layups in the first 6 minutes against a top 25 team is just not going to get it done. That was the start of a massive collapse. And watching this game, through the first 5 minutes, you thought they might have a chance. You know what? Julian Reese didn't do a whole lot in the first half. He only had 2 points. Derek Queen, a little slow out of the blocks himself. He had 7 points in the first half, but didn't really have much of an impact through the first 5 minutes offensively. Now, defensively, that was a different story because anytime Syracuse got the ball inside, you got big 6'10" Derek Queen, arms extended. Jake Juan Carlos has nowhere to go. Eddie Lampkin does not want to compete with Derek Queen in the post. That was very clear from the start. And that is why a lot of these turnovers happened. Bad passes, guys jumping in the air in the paint, getting caught. Lampkin trying to ying it cross court with no one's really there. And it fell apart really quickly.
The only reason this final score was not uglier was because Syracuse finally made some shots in the second half. For me, I don't even think you need to look at the second half, really. No, the first 20 minutes were as telling as a 20-minute period of play that Syracuse has played all season.
I mean, I went looking for Penn State SMU at about the 8-minute mark in the first half, and that game was just as bad, if not worse.
And I can't blame you. I can't blame you. And in fact, I was right there with you. Orange put up 17 points. We knew it was going to be bad offensively without JJ. I don't know if we knew that it was going to be this bad. And a lot of these issues, Ian, have really been kind of plaguing Syracuse ever since Starling went down. We've spoken about not enough offense on this team. We've spoken about not enough shooting on this team. And all of those issues rear their ugly head in this first half. You cannot go through a 20-minute stretch where you are scoring less points than there are minutes played, especially against a Maryland team that it looks like can compete for a Big Ten championship. Now, I think for me, I look at a couple of different things. Big problem number one is that this team just does not have enough talent. But problem number two is coaching, too. And we didn't want to bury Red Autry and his staff after last week's performance. This is one where I think we can a little bit more. For me, watching the film, watching the game, looking at individual players, did they fall short of their expectations? Yes. But I think this team just completely got out-coached and outclassed. Again, the staticness on offense, they
weren't running anything. That was one of the first things I noticed about 7-8 minutes in. The offense looked like the Jim Boeheim offense, where they threw it around. All right, maybe someone can get us a basket. all right, maybe we should set a pick and roll up top with 12 seconds to go. All right, let's hope this works. Let's hope this
And it didn't.
works.
And it didn't. And instead, not only did it not work, it led to turnovers.
18 points off 18 points off turnovers in the first half. And Syracuse gets down. And then instead of getting it together, someone decides to rush to the basket or someone decides to rush a three.
Right.
And that is, you're putting yourself right back on defense.
So we haven't said the number yet, but we should. There were 21 total turnovers committed by the Orange in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just one or two guys. Like,
No,
it was everybody. I don't know if they were eating too much popcorn before the games or
eggnog,
like that.
Man, I'm telling you, the eggnog slows you down.
This was just, they were not prioritizing taking care of the basketball, and you can't do that against good teams. Every open window you gave Maryland to cash in and take advantage and go on a little run, they did. Next thing you know, you look up at the scoreboard, you're down by 20. That's just how it works.
Yeah, and it got even worse. It was 53-19, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 53-19, 2 minutes into the second half. The halftime score looks bad. The second half was even worse. It was even worse. And look, Maryland also had a really good game offensively. Like, let's not say that Syracuse completely bricked this thing, because they did. Yeah, but when Selton Miguel, who was probably he was probably the fifth guy on the scouting report, 6 of 9 from 3, including some pretty ridiculous ones in the first half. All right, credit where credit is due. Jacoby Gillespie, 17 and 11. I mean, that's the transfer point guard that you want. If you're like, I think he was from Bucknell.
I believe so.
Yeah, like that is and again, that's a coaching staff thing. That's evaluating talent and figuring out, all right, who is the dude we really need to get in the portal to run this team? That's a coaching staff thing.
And the thing that I always gave Red the benefit of the doubt on was the recruiting, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was part of the pitch.
And it's still not going wrong. Kyan's visiting. It's not going wrong.
It's not going wrong, but I think something that Orange fans were a little bit naive to when they get sold that statement is the fact that, let's not forget, Red Autry was on Jim Boeheim's staff for all those years. All those bad Syracuse teams down the stretch of Boeheim's tenure, Red had a very big hand in recruiting too as well. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I get it. The guy's a recruiter. He's got his DMV ties. He can get out there and make the pitch. But, like, the past 5, 6, 7 years, he's been very involved on that recruiting.
But let's be clear that people weren't coming to Syracuse because Red Autry is a bad coach. Right. You were never coming to Syracuse to play for Red Autry until Jim Boeheim left the program. And people weren't coming to Syracuse because of the zone and the ineffectiveness that it translated to the end, like that sort of stuff.
Right.
Like that was a lot of and Syracuse starts losing because people figure out the zone and you get the gist. It's supposed to change. It's supposed to change when you change the face of the program and you bring new ideas to the table. And even this year, you re-rack your coaching staff with a former head coach from the Mount, who was a very successful and still is a pretty successful program, all things considered. But it doesn't feel like things have really changed, even though the roster is different and even though the system is supposed to be different. It doesn't really feel like things have changed.
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility when we're talking win totals, Ian, to think, can this team get to 13, 14 wins?
They better.
After a performance like that, I don't know. If J.J. Starling really is going to miss some serious time, I don't know. You've got one more non-conference game. It's at the end of this week. We'll preview that for you at the end of the week after we all enjoy the holiday season these next couple days. But boy, was this eye-opening. And I think, you know, if you were to kind of pick one game that encapsulates the larger problems and the larger issues that this team has suffered and endured so far, this was the one.
Yeah, and it was not a close game. It was not a couple of mistakes here, couple of mistakes there. There were no key plays in this game. This was a butt whooping. Any way you chalk it up, it was a butt whooping.
Before we sign off, I want to ask you here, what in your eyes, and I'm curious to see if we differ on this, what is Syracuse's best win to date?
My goodness.
I mean, we're looking at UAlbany, Cornell, double overtime Youngstown State,
Mhm.
Colgate, and Lemoyne.
Well, if we're talking metrics, it's probably Cornell.
Right.
If we're talking, hey, I feel good about myself and the team after watching this, it's UAlbany. If we're talking entertainment value, it's Youngstown State. And if
Yeah.
we're looking at Ken Palm of the net, none of those teams are above 200.
Needless to say, buckle up. This could be a little bit of a long and windy road these next couple months.
It's going to
But
be like driving through Syracuse in the winter. That's what it's going to be
hopefully
like.
everybody enjoys their holiday. Merry Christmas. To rock and roll for Bucknell on Saturday before its wake on New Year's Eve, and then you're off and running from there. And we'll see sort of where this thing winds up. But as far as the non-conference goes, not too pretty, and you don't need to be a college hoops expert to figure that out. That'll do it for us here on this Maryland recap. It was
We
not a
probably
very
even went
happy
too long as
recap.
it was, Johnny. We probably
Yes.
talked about it for too long as it was.
Exactly. Well, we'll be back to preview Bucknell at the end of the week and then ACC play from there. Enjoy the Christmas holiday. Enjoy Hanukkah. Happy holiday season. Happy New Year. We'll talk to
Happy
you before New
Festivus,
Year.
folks,
Happy Festivus as well.
for the
Yes.
rest of us.
Whatever it is, soak it all in. Wonderful time of year. Hope you're spending it with friends and family. And thank you for spending some of it with us here on